Welcome to Distro Podcast.
Today on our Distro Podcast episode, we've got our guest, Akash Anand, founder and CEO of Cluso. So, Akash, welcome.
Thanks so much, Andrew. I'm very excited to be here.
Wonderful. Well, we'd love to get to know you to start. Would you mind sharing about yourself and, anything about your background, experience? We'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Akash. I'm a co-founder and also the CEO at a startup called Cluso. Cluso is the YC-backed company. We're about 1.5 years old right now. And what our product does essentially is we help software companies create stunning product videos and documentation articles for their apps using AI. How it works essentially is Cluso transforms ordinary rough screen recordings into very high-quality studio-style videos with professional AI voiceovers, as well as step-by-step articles that essentially can be used to educate your customers on how to use your product, or can be put up on social media for product marketing, those kinds of use cases. We're a team of recent college graduates, started up pretty much straight out of college, and we're currently based in San Francisco.
Very cool. What about you, Akash? What's your background prior to Cluso?
So before Cluso, as I mentioned, we were literally just 3 students in college. We don't really have any professional experience working at any company. In fact, interestingly, our college also requires us to do an internship, and we did our internship in our own startup itself. So it's a quick, little quirky fact about us. But so all of us met and studied together at IIT Madras. It's a university in India. I personally studied engineering design, which is primarily focused on product development and design. Did my master's in data science. My 2 co-founders are Neil and Prajwal. Neil is my batchmate. Prajwal studied CS. We all met in college. We've been kind of tinkering on various ideas throughout college, and eventually kind of landed up on Cluso, which is what we're building today.
Very cool. Very cool. Tell us a little bit more about Cluso, if you don't mind diving in more. You mentioned a little bit about it, but we'd love to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, we started about 1.5 years ago. In college, we were actually working on a totally different product. We were building a tool called TestClamp, which is a note-making tool and collaboration tool for students and academic researchers to work together on PDF documents, especially for academic research, for studying, and that kind of stuff. We started building all of this during COVID, because during the pandemic, once everything went remote, it was really hard for us to collaborate with our student peers, for us to collaborate with our professors. So that's the tool we built. We scaled it to over 25,000 users from universities all across the world. And one thing we used to actually do at TestClamp is we would create product launch videos every time we shipped a new feature. So this would involve us actually going to a studio, recording with a voice actor, creating a whole animated workflow explaining the new feature that we launched. We would add music, we would add captions. It would be a very time-consuming and tedious process to create these professional-looking videos. Often would take up to 2 weeks and thousands of dollars if we were to use a contractor, but we didn't have the funds at the time, so we were doing this all ourselves as founders. And the only reason we were actually doing this is because we saw how much impact launching videos actually makes on improving the user base, on improving feature adoption, on getting more word out about your product. So this was a super time-consuming process. For some reasons, actually, though, our last startup didn't really work out, primarily because we were selling to students, and students were not really the most, let's say, they didn't have the deepest pockets to pay for software. So we ended up actually deciding that, we need to pivot away from this. And one problem that stuck out like a sore thumb was this one that I just mentioned. So with the whole AI revolution that came about in September of 2022, we were very excited to actually try to automate as much of this process as possible using AI. So now what Cluso does essentially is we help companies of any size create very stunning videos of their product. And how we do that is they just record a very rough screen share of themselves using their product. And from their screen share, we're actually able to construct a new script for the video. We remove their voiceover and add a professional AI actor's voiceover that sounds way more professional and way more engaging. We automatically add music. We automatically add the company's branding to the video. So you don't need to involve a designer at all. Anyone from the team with no design experience or not even good English can actually just record themselves using their product. and you can create very high quality videos as well as written articles to accompany those videos.
Was there something specific that like kind of sparked this idea, or was it just a series of things that you guys were, the three of you were like, oh, I don't see that this exists. Maybe we should look into that. Like, what was it that like the initial spark that brought this idea closer?
Yeah, so it all started when we kind of, with our last startup, tried to put a paywall on the product and monetize it, and we couldn't really generate revenue. So at that point, we just took the hard decision to stop whatever we were doing and decide that, okay, it's time to build something new. We had absolutely no idea what we wanted to build, but we decided that we definitely need to do something new. So we spent about 3 or 4 weeks actually speaking to over 100 different people trying to come up with the new problem statement. So we spoke with developers, we spoke with customer success teams, we spoke with lawyers, we spoke with back-end, front-end designers, like people from all sorts of sectors, essentially trying to come up with something new that we could actually build upon. And we weren't actually going anywhere, to be very honest. After like 80 to 100 interviews, we kind of did find some patterns of problems people faced, but they didn't really intersect with our passions or our expertise. And that's when we kind of decided, okay, let's think from first principles. Let's look at our own experience. One of our YC partners, actually, Michael, also encouraged us to look at more deeply what we used to do at our last startup and try to see if there was something that we faced as a problem there that we could essentially build a solution for. And this is the one thing that really struck out to us, which was creating help documentation, creating product videos. And from there, we decided, hey, let's create like some sort of prototype that can help teams create documentation and videos from a single screen share. It was a very basic prototype that we first launched, but one very large company was actually very interested very soon. And that kind of validated that this problem is something that we weren't just facing ourselves, but so many companies and so many customer success and marketing teams across larger corporations are facing as well. So that's essentially how we arrived at this and kind of validated that this is the idea that we should be working on and something that we can actually scale to become a larger company.
Very cool. So now that you've got some traction, you've got, this funding with Y Combinator, what's the dynamic of the team look like today? Is it just the three of you still, co-founders, or do you have some team members you've now brought on to help build? Like, what does that all look like?
Yeah, we're still a very lean team. So there's 3 of us, and we have 2 engineers as well back in Bangalore. So we're just 5 right now. Staying lean has really helped us move very fast and focus on exactly the kinds of problems that our customers are facing and really target those and build to solve those problems. We're at a stage now where we're working with over 250 companies, and the kinds of problems and the kind of features that all of our customers want we've started seeing some very clear patterns. And we have some much more clear sense of what our roadmap looks like. So we're kind of at that stage now where we think we're ready to kind of supercharge our growth and really build our team bigger to really expand this product and expand our capabilities as much as we possibly can. Because our vision essentially is that we should be able to automate as much of this work as possible so that people feel like making more videos. I think one big challenge that a lot of companies have is they don't feel like doing it because of how much work it involves, even though it can actually very strongly impact their ROI.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's very spot on. So with this initial team that you've put together, you've got your founding, 3 of you, and then you've got your two engineers. I imagine. Did you know these 2 engineers before, or did you how did you go about finding them? And I can only imagine it's. You care a lot about like making sure that the right people this early on, they're foundational to your product and into your future. So like maybe will help us understand what your experience was with bringing those 2 people on.
Mm-hmm. So one of them was actually an intern with us before. So one thing that I definitely recommend is actually getting on people from very top universities as interns to work during their summer or during their winter or whenever they have some free time, even during the semester, because these people, they might not have a lot of experience, but they're definitely very talented and very smart. And they're the kind of growth that you'll see with them is very fast. So they might not start very kind of being able to do everything, but they'll soon grow into a role where they'll be able to handle a lot of things and really ease up your bandwidth as a founder. So we kind of hired some interns from some of the top universities in India, had them work with us for a duration of time, and essentially picked from there to become our full-time employees. So that's something that's really worked well for us. Especially because you can also see that there's so many things that you want to validate before someone becomes a full-time employee. Like there's how smart they are, how hard they're willing to work, especially at a young startup, that's very important. How committed they are to the problem statement that you're solving for, how passionate they are about the space, how well they gel with the team and the culture. Different teams have different managerial styles, and like some people might be great fits for one company, but not so much for another company. So having those kinds of internships, or let's say kind of periods where like evaluation periods where they can work with the company, get the full vibe, helps both the company as well as the employee to realize if it's the right fit for them.
Yeah, that all of that's super important, and it's cool that you guys are taking all those the different factors in consideration. Being that you guys are such early stage, did you need to make sure that they had some, real startup experience, or did you feel confident enough to that didn't matter as much?
Startup experience helps a lot. So the people we hire, we try to hire people who have tried to start something during college or who have worked at a startup before. Because again, the kind of work ethic that you expect someone to have at a startup is very different from the work ethic you expect someone to have at Google or Microsoft. So you definitely want to make sure that they are compatible with that. They're willing to kind of give up on some things in their work-life balance, and they're willing to give it their all so that, you can grow really quickly and grow really fast as a company. So that's something we look for. If they don't have that, then that trial period becomes even more important, because then you have to validate that aspect of things as well. Can they really sit and focus hard for hours at end on every single day?
Yeah, absolutely. So small team right now. Do you guys have like a growth plan in place for, near future, or, what does the team dynamic look like, 6 to 12 months from now?
Yeah, we're actively hiring in several roles actually. So we're hiring in machine learning and AI. We're really trying to push the capabilities of what AI can do in the video production process. We're hiring designers because graphic design as well as UI UX design is super important in a very visual product like ours, where we're trying to make it as easy for the user to first of all use the product, and then second of all, we need to create really stunning outputs. So actually having that experience of having worked with videos or created videos before, and essentially the very exciting part of it is these video designers are essentially working with us to automate their own job using AI. So having that experience of knowing what it takes to build really stunning videos is going to be super important. Of course, we're hiring in front end, back end, your standard roles at any SaaS product, as well as teams that can do marketing and sales.
And with these roles that you're hiring for right now, which by the way, it's exciting, growing is always a fun part of the startup experience too. Do you guys, are you trying to keep everything central there in India with your existing team, or are you guys more like, we don't care as long as they're amazing, at what they do?
Yeah, we're 100% in person. We don't really like doing remote, especially as an early stage company. It helps everyone get that vibe of like, we're really trying to move fast. We're all essentially really close to our customers. We're all together. We can bounce ideas off of each other. We can make sure we're all on the same page. It helps hold all of us accountable as well. So we're in Bangalore and SF. So these are primarily the places we will be looking to hire.
Well, good for you. And I imagine you'll be in San Francisco for a bit of time, or is that also temporary for you and the team there?
So it's just me and my co-founder here in SF. The vast majority of our team otherwise will be back in Bangalore. So right now we're in SF. Of course, we'll keep shifting, like juggling between here and going to Bangalore as well to work with our engineers. But the vast majority of our customers are in the US, so that's why we do have presence here too.
Very cool. Well, that's all exciting. I think the market needs more, definitely the more we see going on with AI and these large language models with machine learning, I think the more I get excited about what other products are to come, and having a product like yours that takes any video and turns it into a high quality production that's pretty sweet. I can only imagine the type of traction that you guys are going to keep picking up as you grow. As we come to the end of the episode here, I'm curious. This is new for you. You've been doing this now for a couple of years. Sounds like you've got great traction with getting into the Y Combinator program. You got a small team that you've got now, and you're building on that right now. What would you say is either the biggest lesson you've learned so far, and or some advice on building a core team at such an early stage?
Yeah, a lot of things that we've learned along the way. I'm trying to figure out what's that one thing. I think what's very important for us is to really keep our ambitions extremely high in terms of what our product can do. Our whole focus is on really pushing the boundaries of the product, really pushing how far AI can do things. And what we've kind of seen and what we've also heard is that, what your product does using AI may not be 100% the way they are today, but even if it does, if it goes half the way, there's a very strong chance that in 2 or 3 years, it'll definitely be able to go all the way. So that's essentially something that we really focus on. How much of this process can we do with AI? How creative can we be in terms of going around the existing limitations that exist with these AI models and kind of doing our own clever tricks to make them really work for our use case? And when it comes to hiring, being able to bring people who are on board with that vision, who really want to think big and who are really not satisfied with whatever the product is doing today, even though we have 200, 300 customers who are using the product, can we really push the boundaries even further? That kind of mentality is super important.
Absolutely. Well, Akash, thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit about your story and background and about what you're doing with Cluso. And also, of course, thank you for sharing about your team build thing so far and what's to come. So we'll go ahead and wrap up with that. Any last words?
No, thank you so much. Very excited, very exciting chat. And thanks so much for having me.